Are you ready to finally break free from overwhelm, procrastination, and burnout? If you're ready to focus on what truly matters and create momentum to reach and exceed your goals in business and in life, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Efficiency Advantage, the podcast where clarity meets action and purpose that fuels your progress. So here's world-class productivity expert and your host, Coach Juli. Well, hello, welcome back to the Efficiency Advantage podcast. I'm glad you're here. If you listened to the last episode, I shared some ways to bring some much needed structure in our lives by discussing how to have and putting into place a morning routine or a morning ritual, whatever you would like to call it. So today I thought I would be kind of closing the loop for you here by discussing having an evening routine or a bedtime routine. And I'm going to share a little bit about what that entails and also a little bit about why you want to do this. So when I'm working with my clients, one of the things we do is start getting some structure in place. Because a lot of us don't have that much structure. We think maybe we have a little bit, but it's not really locked in, shall we say. So I'm going to share with you how to kind of have an additional structure. Aside from the morning routine, we're going to talk about having an evening or bedtime routine. And last time, if you had listened to the past episode, you'll remember that I talked about having the puzzle borders of your day being your morning and your evening routine. So we worked on the morning. Now we're going to work on the evening one. And the reason for this is if you had a chance to actually put this into place and start putting the consistent routine that you're going to have when you wake up in the morning, and now we're going to add the evening in a moment, this will hopefully show you kind of, or I don't say show you, but ground you. A lot of people find that once they see that their day has a definite beginning and a definite ending, it feels a lot more contained. It doesn't feel so nebulous as to, well, what's going to happen in my day? So this way, you have an opportunity to really see how your day is going to look, how much time you've got between your start, the morning routine and your bedtime routine. And this is the space you get to fill. This is what you're going to spend your time doing, is what's going to fit in that space, basically. So let's talk a little bit about the evening routine. And I kind of just put it into a bedtime routine. Now, some people like to have structure from the time they get home up until they go to bed. That's completely fine. If you've got kids, that's kind of necessary because you're going to want to have a routine of when you're going to have dinner, clean up from dinner, get kids ready for bed, the baths and getting schoolwork, all pulled together and ready for the next day. And even do some things to have the next day run more smoothly. Maybe get lunches figured out and maybe have breakfast ready to go or some sort of, something done ahead of time so that you don't have to worry about the rush of the morning on weekdays, school days, because that can be very stressful. I know, I'm a mom. I did that. So having those routines and in the morning and in the evening are super helpful and really make a difference in how your day and your night play out. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about how to put those routines and those schedules in place and what you should do, in that time frame. And when you think about the time that you're spending in the evening, kind of winding down from your work day or whatever you have done during the day, and then going ahead and putting in some nice relaxation, maybe reading, maybe listening to music. Yeah, I know a lot of people also like to watch TV a little bit in the evening, and that's fine. Of course, best to do that earlier in the evening, not right up to bedtime. For many people, it's keeps them awake. There's your screen time. So we'll talk about that another time. But looking at how you want your evening to be. And we talked last time about the morning routine and when you're going to wake up. And you want to look at the time you're going to be going to sleep in addition to the time you're waking up, because you want to make sure that you have allowed enough time to actually get a proper night's sleep. And many people don't do that. They get up, regardless of what time they go to sleep, they get up at the same time, or they reverse. They'll go to sleep at a certain time and, wake up whenever. So it's best if you have the consistency. And I know I mentioned this last time. Consistency is the key because, again, this is going to help your circadian rhythms get on track. And then you're going to have a much better sleep, better quality sleep. And once you get that consistency, your body will naturally start to get tired at that time. And then typically you'll also wake up on time. A little secret that I learned from a colleague that about sleep and about waking up. I know a lot of people have to use alarm clocks and they hit that snooze button more than once. Well, if that's you, you might notice or find that when you are getting a good night's sleep and you're consistently going to sleep at the same time, that when you want to wake up, your body will naturally start waking up without an alarm. Yeah, I just said that. Your body will wake up without an alarm. I haven't used an alarm clock in decades. The only time I'll ever put one on is if I have to catch an early flight and I have to get up way earlier than my normal bedtime. I'll put one on just to make sure I do wake up. But yeah, I haven't used an alarm clock in forever. I just don't need one. I go to sleep at the same time. I wake up at the time I want to wake up. 5:45, my body just wakes up and there we are. So this is definitely possible, and I know lots of people who do this. They just naturally wake up without an alarm clock. Yes, this is something you can aspire to. So creating this structure and these rituals or routines around your morning and your evening, this will actually help that happen. So here's the way you want to look at your evening routine. First, you want to decide and look at when you're going to be needing to wake up. So if you're going to be having to wake up at 6, you want to make sure that you are asleep by 10. There's your 8 hours. Okay. And 8 hours, there's, science as to why the 8 hours is useful. We get a good amount of REM cycles during that time, and we get a good solid sleep in that time frame. That's why it's important to aim for the 8 hours. Now, some people can do just fine on 7.5. Some people need 9 or 10. So there's obviously, there are variables in there. So you need to kind of know what your sweet spot is. But for the majority, we're looking at around 8 hours. You want to give yourself a good opportunity to be able to get those 8 hours in. So plan on having lights out about 15 minutes or so before you want to be actually asleep. Most people, on average, take around 15 to 20 minutes to fall asleep. That's the average. You may be someone who, lies down, hits the pillow, and bam, you're out. And that's great. I don't have that. But if you're someone who takes an hour or two to fall asleep, there's other factors at play, of course. So we'll take that into account. And there's some things I can impart to you on how to make that hopefully a thing of the past as well. So when you are setting up the time that you're going to go to sleep, you want to plan the things, the activities, if you will, tasks that you are planning to do before you go to bed, before you lights out. Okay, so let's work on this time frame. Let's say you are someone who's going to be getting up at 6 and you want to be asleep by 10. Okay, so if that's the case, you probably want to have lights out around 9:45. Now we're going to go and work backwards. I think we discussed this last time. We kind of planned the sequence of events backwards. And we're going to do the same thing again here. Most of the time, for the majority of people, at least the people that I work with on a regular basis, we find that around 45 minutes, yes, I'm doing 30, but 45 minutes is a good amount of time to kind of wind down and get ready for bed. Now, there are many activities we do when we get ready for bed. We change our clothes. We may shower. We may probably, we're definitely brushing our teeth and washing our face and whatever other personal hygiene things that you do before bedtime. And you want to make sure that you've got time allocated for all these various steps. Now, a lot of people have find that if they take some time to maybe stretch, do some yoga, some people like to meditate before they go to bed. Others like to read before they go to bed. I'm going to definitely make a note here and caution you, try not to read on a device or read a book or read something on paper. You will tend to get sleepier. It does not stimulate your brain the same way, and it will be easier to go to sleep. I've also found that if you read something a little too adventurous or a thriller of some sort, that can end up keeping you awake. I had a client one time, she goes, well, I started reading, didn't pay attention to the kind of book I was reading, and end up getting sucked into this adventure story that I was reading for hours. And then I was, didn't get to bed until like after midnight, and that was not good. So what we did is change the kinds of things she was reading. Sometimes if you read, a magazine article, if you've got a periodical or magazine or a trade publication that you want to get through, hey, keep those by your bedside and get through some of those articles. They're short, they're concise, and they're generally not going to keep you awake all night long. So pick the reading materials that are going to do you a favor and be mindful of that. So these are some of the things that you want to plan for and put into your schedule. So let's say, for example, that you are going to be putting lights out at 9:45 and the last 15 minutes before bed, you'd like to read. Okay, so that at 9:30, you're going to start the reading. And let's think about maybe you want to do some stretching. Okay, do some stretching and toning or so before you go to bed. That's awesome. And let's say you want 10 minutes for that. Okay, so you're going to start that around 9:20. You'll start the stretching. And let's say that before that, you're going to change into your pajamas, sleep clothes. You're going to, brush your teeth, wash your face, and do all the things that you need to do around that. And let's say you give yourself 20 minutes for that. So you're looking at starting at 9 for 9:45 lights out. There's 45 minutes, by the way. It just happened. I didn't exactly plan that. It just worked out. But this is one way that you can start to prepare yourself for bed. And what this does is it starts telling your brain that, hey, I'm going to bed soon. Let's kind of get, wind down a lot so that you can go to sleep successfully. Think about the fact that when we were babies, and if you have babies now, you're probably doing the same thing. We actually help wind our kids down and get them ready for sleep by giving them a bath, by tucking them in, reading them a story. We do these quiet, very soothing kinds of activities. And this is a message to your brain that you're going to be going to sleep soon. So it gives you an opportunity to prepare yourself for sleep. It worked when you were a child and a baby. It'll work now. We haven't changed that part of our brain that much. So this is a good thing to be doing. Many people say that they have a much better quality sleep when they take time to wind down from their day. All right, so you now have these morning rituals and these bedtime rituals. And I strongly encourage you to actually write them out. Lots of people print them out. I think I mentioned this in the last episode. They'll print them out and then post them in various places in their homes so that they're seeing them on a regular basis. Now, here's the cool thing. Once you do this for a while, it's going to become a habit. Your brain, your body, your whole world will start getting very used to this structured way of waking up and getting ready for the day, and then winding down and getting ready to sleep. Now, once you start doing this consistently, it will become a habit, and then you will probably not be looking at the printout anymore of the schedule you've set up because you're just going to do it. You don't have to think about it. And that's another wonderful point that I wanted to make about having structure. When we don't have structure, we're having to make those same decisions every single time over and over again, like the first time. Well, what if you didn't have all those decisions to make? Nobody wants to make myriad decisions all day, all night, right? But if you have these decisions already made by having these routines, having these structures in place, that frees you up to just be more creative, think about things that you really want to think about, and not have all this scheduling, if you will, in your head and having to remember all of these little details. You'll just do them. You'll just get them done. And this actually will reduce your stress. This will help you sleep better, right? If we reduce stress and overwhelm, then you're going to have a much better night's sleep as well. Okay, so to recap, you're going to schedule your morning ritual, your evening bedtime routine. And if you want to have more to the evening, that's fine. Just go ahead and schedule an evening routine versus the bedtime routine. I look at those as being two separate things because the evening routine probably involves other people, children, spouses, whatever. And, don't forget our pets. You'll be taking care of them as well. So whatever has to be done, that may be chores, that may be, getting homework done if you've got older kids. So you want to have the evening kind of set up where there's some systems, some structure in place. This actually will help everyone in the family. When you have these structures in position and your kids are taught to follow them, they will adopt these into their lifestyle as they get to be adults. And that's going to help them be more efficient as well. So, from Coach Juli Shulem from the Efficiency Advantage podcast, I'm challenging you to go and set up those morning and evening bedtime rituals, routines, print them out, put them in places you'll see them. And I would love to hear how these work for you. You can comment and ask questions at askjuli.com. That's Juli for Julie. I look forward to hearing your results. Have a wonderful time until the next episode. Thank you for listening.
So that's it for today's episode of The Efficiency Advantage. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, iTunes, or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week that posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing to win a private VIP day with Coach Juli herself. Be sure to head on over to theefficiencyadvantage.com and pick up a free copy of Coach Juli's gift and join us on the next episode.